Picture this for a second. You suddenly find yourself in a high-stakes, incredibly stressful encounter with law enforcement. The lights are flashing, tensions are running super high, and your heart is just pounding out of your chest, right? It is so easy to panic in a situation like that. But here's the absolute most important thing you've got to remember. In those critical, split-second moments, your best defense isn't a loud argument, and it is definitely not physical resistance. Actually, your absolute best defense is a quiet, confident knowledge of the law. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're mapping out the precise scope of lawful arrest in Ghana. We're going to look strictly at what the law says, breaking down exactly what law enforcement officers are legally allowed to do, and honestly, just as importantly, what they are totally not allowed to do.
Okay, let's dive into this chronological journey through a police encounter. First up, we'll look at warrants and the initial contact. Then, we'll navigate the rules around force, resistance, and searches. After that, we'll map out relocation and processing rules. And finally, we'll wrap up with your ultimate legal protections. By the time we're done, you'll have a crystal clear mental map of the clear boundaries of law enforcement power.
Section 1. Warrants and initial contact, the very first moments of a police encounter. Now, during this initial phase, police absolutely can ask for your basic identification just to record it in their register. But they are legally required to tell you the exact offense you're being arrested for, and they have to do it in completely clear terms.
So, if things escalate to an arrest, there's this huge myth out there that police always, absolutely must have a piece of paper, a warrant, to take you in. No way. Surprisingly, that's just not true. The legal standard we're looking at here is something called reasonable suspicion. Basically, if law enforcement officers have reasonable suspicion that you committed a crime, or if they literally catch you red-handed in the act, the law empowers them to arrest you right then and there, entirely without a warrant.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it sharply contrasts what makes suspicion legally valid versus what is basically an abuse of power. Reasonable suspicion has incredibly strict boundaries. It has to be grounded entirely in objective facts or the reality of being caught in the act. What it absolutely cannot be based on is a bad mood, someone throwing an insult, or some personal grudge. If an arrest is driven by emotion instead of cold, hard facts, well, that completely crosses a legal boundary.
Section 2. Force, resistance, and searches. Navigating the physical aspects of an arrest. This is where things can escalate. So it's absolutely crucial to stay calm and understand the rules.
When we look at the stark difference between reasonable force and brutality, the line is extremely clear. If a suspect actively resists, yes, the police are legally permitted to use force, but it is strictly defined as reasonable force. And all that means is the absolute minimum physical effort required to safely restrain someone. That's it. Beating, brutality, or any kind of retaliatory violence, that is 100% illegal. And here is the most vital takeaway, so definitely remember this. The exact moment you stop resisting, their legal justification to use force completely vanishes. It must legally stop.
All right, so once the situation is physically secured, the police do have the authority to search you. Specifically, they can check your pockets, any bag you're carrying, and whatever items you're actively holding in your hands. Now, they aren't just casually browsing. They're looking for weapons, evidence, or anything you could use to escape. But listen to this. It is a vital, non-negotiable detail. If the suspect is a woman, the law clearly dictates that the physical search absolutely must be conducted by a female officer. No exceptions.
Section 3. Relocation and processing rules. Moving to the station and statements. The arrest is secured, so let's move the chronological timeline forward to the transport and processing phase.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly where you can be taken. The police can move you from the scene, sure, but they can only take you to an official, recognized police station. Let me be super clear. You cannot legally be taken to a private office. You cannot be taken to one corner to just sort things out off the books. And you must never be taken to an undisclosed or unknown location. The whole process has to remain completely transparent and official. So you're at that recognized station, and processing begins. This is where they'll ask for your statement. And yes, the police absolutely have the right to ask you for a statement about what happened. But, and this is a massive but, they literally do not have the right to force you to make one. Your statement must be completely 100% voluntary. You've got distinct options here. 1, you can insist on writing the statement yourself so your words aren't twisted. 2, you can simply exercise your constitutional right to remain completely silent. Or 3, you can wait until your lawyer arrives before saying or writing a single thing. Remember, that choice is entirely yours. Which brings us to Section 4, your ultimate legal protection, knowing your boundaries. We're at the final and frankly most empowering part of this explainer. We've seen that police power definitely exists, but it's absolutely not unlimited.
We've walked through this entire timeline, and it all boils down to this quote from our source material. During an arrest, your greatest protection is not argument, it's understanding your rights and the limits of their authority. So, the crucial point is that staying calm and knowing the law is actually your greatest safety tool. Knowing what law enforcement can and cannot do empowers you to clearly identify the exact moment they might step over a legal boundary. Knowledge literally is your ultimate shield.
As we wrap up today's explainer, I really want to leave you with a provocative question to think about. Do you know where the legal boundary ends and your rights begin? You know, it's so easy to assume we know how the system works until we're the ones caught on those flashing lights. Keep these boundaries in mind, empower yourself with the knowledge of your civil protections, and always keep learning. Thanks so much for joining us.